The following is a sponsored segment from the Higgins Firm.
The other big story we've been talking about, fungal meningitis, has now claimed the lives of at least 4 people, possibly 5 here in the mid-state. And with all of these infections traced back to one company, there may be some legal ramifications down the road. Our legal eagle, Jim Higgins, here to talk about the legal cases for meningitis victims and their families. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
First of all, how many cases have come across your desk? Are you working on any?
You know, we have talked to a couple of families that, and a few clients of mine that had epidural steroid injections who are just really right now just tragically concerned, just distraught.
Sure.
They fortunately they haven't had the symptoms, but they're in this kind of waiting period of could it impact them, which is just a horrible place to be. And we've received a couple of calls for some other lawyers who are either had represented some family members or friends of family members with just some questions about how we see this proceeding, things
Jim,
like that.
Who is the target here? The pharmacy has come out in Massachusetts where these steroid injections came from. Is it the hospital? Is it the doctors? Is it this pharmacy? Who's the target?
Well, right now it's still developing. We all have these theories out there of what we believe has happened, what everybody believes has happened is it's come from this pharmacy or this mixing facility that is not regulated like other manufacturers, and that appears to be the source. If that stays the way it is, then that will likely be the main defendant. And there's going to be a few issues that will arise from that, likely in a case like this, the way we've seen other cases develop. First of all, the company's already apparently shut down. They're not answering their phone calls. We've got hundreds of these cases out there in all these different states. So the big question will be, can they survive? Well, that just simply put them into bankruptcy court. And then what happens with these families if that occurs? And likely in a case this side, I mean, it would have to be a substantial corporation to do it, and it just doesn't look like it is. So that is your first probably potential defendant is them, and then the big question will be, are they going to bankrupt or not, and how will that impact it? If they do bankrupt, it's probably what we refer to as a product liability case. And ultimately, if you get a product from somebody, they're not liable unless the manufacturer goes bankrupt, and then they may be liable. So in that case, you would go to where you had this injection, which a lot of the cases would be here at St. Thomas or these other hospitals. They know where that was. The other thing that's really going to kind of shed some light on our state is all of these cases now that the law has gone into effect are going to be impacted by our tort reform that came through last year. And, that was tragically, or to me, it was a bill that came through and that was sold to stop frivolous litigation and things like that, and that's how it got passed. But really,
what's the cap on that? $750,000. Right?
$750,000. And so what happens with a lot of these families is now that they'll have that limit, a jury, their peers, whatever, will not be able to tell them what the value of their loved one was, or their caregiver was. Our legislature, the governor, all these people, when they pass that, that's the cap. So that, and what's strange about it, that is if you had that done here at St. Thomas and you have this cap, whereas somebody in Kentucky, they don't have that. And if we're going to deal with these bankruptcy issues, if that happens too, that can have a big impact on that. If the bankruptcy judge distributes it under proportionate awards, well, our awards are going to be a lot lower than other states. So that's really going to be a big impact in this case.
All right. Well, if you have any questions for Jim Higgins or any of the other attorneys there about meningitis or anything else really, the Higgins Firm is where you can contact them. There's the phone number, 615-353-0930. Or you can contact Jim personally at jsh@higginsfirm.com.